Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic relationships, healing from these relationships, and simply making sense of them. Today I'm going to give you a very good hack if you're trying to survive a narcissistic relationship. You ready? This hack is so simple, and I think it could really go a long way for folks out there who are stuck. Because if you're in a narcissistic relationship that you cannot get out of or do not want to get out of, this is going to be a good hack for you. And I call it the why hack, not the letter Y, the word why. Why? It's simple, very simple hack. Okay, here we go. Never start a question to a narcissistic person with why. Try it and see how much strife drops out of your relationship. Okay, so don't ever ask them why. You might be thinking, what the hell? What is the problem with why questions? Why questions ask a person to get at their motivation. Why are you wearing that? Why are you going to the store? Why did you get home so late last night? Why did you say that? To answer why, a person needs to know their reason for something that they're doing. So now some of these questions aren't that heavy a lift. Why are you going to the store? To get bananas. Why are you wearing that? Because it's comfortable. But there's no such thing as a light lift in a narcissistic relationship. So even those seemingly innocuous why questions, why are you going to the store, for example, can be met with, what is it to you why I'm going to the store? Do I need to tell you my every move? What's your problem? I don't need to tell you why I'm going to the store. So even the mildest of why questions can go down really fast. And forget about it if you are asking a question about the inner workings of your relationship. For example, why do you talk to me that way? Why do you talk over me? Why don't you want to spend more time together? Try that. You do that, you're toast. They're typically going to darvo the hell out of you, right? Remember that? They're going to deny, attack, reverse victim and offender, and you aren't even accusing them of anything. But they're going to experience your why question as an accusation, and so you're off at the whole blame-shifting races, right? Even in therapy, I learned long ago with the narcissistic clients to never ask them a question that started with why. And I try some backdoor hacks with things like saying, well, that's interesting. Let's unpack that. What do you think that's about? Sometimes it worked, and sometimes they still raged at me, but it avoided me saying why. And it was a coin toss. But asking them a why was a guarantee that they would get angry or just stonewall me. I'd get, I don't know why. That's your job, doc. That's why I pay you to tell me why. So think back at the last time you tried a why question with a narcissistic person. If you were lucky, you'd have gotten an I don't know, but that's rare. Think about the response you got from the narcissist with your why question. Or if you don't remember, give it a shot. Go out there, ask them a why question, and pay attention to what the answer is. My guess is in most cases it wasn't good. And since you may not have perceived asking a question like this as an issue, you may have been even more confused. That word why changes everything. You might be wondering, what is this about this why? What is going on? Let's break this down. It'll help you understand why this is such a great hack. First, narcissistic people are low in something we call mentalization. Basically, they can't dig in and reflect on their inner worlds in a clear way. And they can't reflect on other people's motivations either. So they misperceive other people's motivations. So if you're asking them why they're going to the store, they're going to experience that as an interrogation, for example. Narcissistic people are also very unclear on their own motivations for why they do what they do. It's because it's not comfortable for them. They're doing things because they have a fragile sense of self. They're doing things to get admiration, to get validation, because they're insecure. And all of those reasons bring up feelings of shame, and it would be too vulnerable for them to answer the truth. So instead, they attack the why messenger, you, and berate you because you asking why is in essence asking them to do something they can't do. And when they're faced up against their inadequacy or their imperfection, that they don't know why they're motivated to do what they do, they're going to come out punching. Narcissistic folks are also very oppositional. They do not like being told what to do. So even if the thing you're suggesting they do is actually in their best interest, saying something like, hey, you may want to check the traffic before you leave the house. You may want to bring a sweater. It's going to be cold tonight. You may want to be sure you get that application in time. But because you might be telling them what to do, they will often react very angrily. Don't tell me what to do. You aren't my parent. Stop bossing me around. What do I look like? Do I look like I'm 10? You don't know what you're talking about. So, building on that, for them being asked why, in essence, is a form of interpersonal accountability. You're asking someone to share why they're doing X or Y. And that feels like they're being held accountable, and that pulls for that oppositionality. So you say, why were you home late? They'll say, I don't have to tell you why I'm home late. I don't have to tell you why I'm going to the store. There's that oppositionality. Anything that requires a narcissistic person to look inward, unpack their motivations, be accountable, be self-aware, or take ownership of their behavior, which is what the why questions are in essence asking, will always be met with this kind of pushback. Now you are thinking, what the hell? Are you telling me that in this relationship, I am never going to get an answer to a question that starts with why? Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, if you want to play at-home shrink and do the whole psychological twister game that any shrink would have to do with a narcissistic client, and ask them to say, oh, instead of saying why, say, oh, let's figure that out. What do you think might be happening? You do you. But this takes lots of time. You're still going to be met with rage. It can evoke a lot of grief to understand that in one of these relationships, you're never going to get an answer to the question why. In fact, the not getting the answer to the question why is another reason why people blame themselves in these relationships, because you never get to hear the why of the various toxic dynamics. You don't get to ask them, why do you invalidate me? Why do you manipulate me? Why do you gaslight me? Why are you dismissive? Why do you hold me in contempt? They're never going to say, you know why? Because my fragile psyche is surrounded by grandiosity, arrogance, and entitlement, so I seek out validation to quell that insecurity. That's why I flirt with other people. Or I invalidate you so I can feel as though I'm the one in power and I'm threatened by your success. Do you think you're going to get that answer? No. So by understanding narcissism, at least what you're doing is you're peeking under the hood a little bit on what makes these personalities tick. It may not be exactly why this person is behaving like this, but at a minimum, by understanding some of the baseline motivations for narcissistic folks, it may lift some of the blame. So try this why hack. It doesn't feel good to realize that your relationship will be so superficial and psychological empty that you can't even get a simple why question answered. But it can help stave off a world of grief. But it is that question of why. Why are you doing anything? Is what often sets up the vast majority of a lot of narcissistic arguments. I recently spoke with someone who was talking to me about saying, we were doing great, we're having a great day, and then the day fell apart. And I said, what do you think might have caused that change? Like, what do you think was happening? She was very sad. She said, it was so weird. All I asked was, why did she go talk to that person? I had to kind of hold back. Like, I didn't want to smile because that felt kind of mean, but I was like, oh my gosh, there it is again. And all she did was she asked someone, literally, why did you get up and talk to that person? She was curious. I said, was it accusatory? She said, no. I didn't know if she knew her or something like that. So she was asking what was a very innocent question. That one why question took a day that was going perfectly fine and literally turned it upside down. That is how powerful and problematic these why questions can be. So it's a little bit of a mindful hack on your side to not ask the why. Again, you can try the whole workaround, like I said, of what do you think might be happening? But what are you going to really say? Like, what is your process of deciding to go to the store? That just makes, that's a whole different thing, right? So the best you're going to be able to do is know that they're going to the store, not know what they're buying. They're going to come home with something. And unfortunately, on bigger ticket stuff, why do they mistreat you? They don't think they are. So when you're asking them to weigh in on a motivation, on something that they don't even agree with you about, that's exactly the kind of situation that makes everything spin. I know that that leaves you in a position of saying, how come I never get to find out why? Because sadly, that is the pain and the agony of these relationships. But I hope this hack works. And if it does from time to time, and may turn down the volume on the strife, then it may be worth it. Thanks again.